Bill Cosby's wife is now being brought into the lawsuit filed by his alleged rape victims. Camile Cosby and her lawyers had argued that she should be spared from testifying against her husband of over 50 years, but a judge dismissed that, and she is set to speak on the record this week. Let's talk now to our legal panel. David Bruno is a criminal defense attorney, a former prosecutor and trial attorney, and Mercedes Colwin is a Fox News legal analyst. Happy New Year to you both.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So let's be clear, we have two cases here. One was just filed this week. That is a criminal case. He's charged with sexual assault against a woman. He could face up to 10 years in prison if convicted. But there is also a civil case filed by 7 other women. They have all in the past publicly accused Cosby of sexual assault, but they didn't file criminal charges. Cosby called them liars, and now they've filed a defamation case against him for calling them liars when they say they're telling the truth. So Cosby's wife is being ordered to testify in the civil case, the defamation case. And David Bruno, you say that's an important distinction. Why?
Well, it's important because she wouldn't be compelled to testify in the criminal case. What the accusers have actually benefited from is a state law distinguishing set of rules. And in Massachusetts, because it's civil, she'll be compelled. Now, in Pennsylvania, it's a little bit different. If it were civil and criminal, they could not compel her testimony.
All right. So we should mention, by the way, that Cosby is countersuing the 7 women also for defamation, saying that these women's accusations are malicious, opportunistic, and false. In any case, Mercedes, Camile Cosby acted as Bill's manager. Does that help to negate the spousal privilege?
That's a great point, and it might. But really, they're going to focus on, that's simply the conversation that she's had with Bill Cosby. That doesn't go beyond that. So if she was in the room, she observed something, that has nothing to do with any conversation she may have had with Bill. So it's really going to focus on her as a witness. And what did she see? Well, apparently some of these accusers are saying that she was in the vicinity, she was in the home. Some of these allegations against Bill Cosby, the alleged assaults took place in the home where his wife Camile would be. So that's what they're going to focus in on. The smarter lawyers are going to stay away from the conversations between Bill Cosby and Camile, because it's too easy to say spousal privilege, we have to move on, go, let's get the court on the phone and see whether or not she can be compelled to testify.
Yeah. David, are there still limits on what she can be asked?
Yeah, like Mercedes just points out, she will not, there is a legitimate objection, spousal privilege, if a question is asking about oral communications between the 2 spouses. So even though the judge has ordered her to be deposed, that objection is still legally sufficient. And like the lawyers could raise it, they could bring the judge in on a telephone, and that's regularly done, and she will not be compelled to talk about any oral communications between her and her husband.
Mercedes, these 7 women are part of apparently more than 50 people who are accusing Bill Cosby of sexual misconduct, but most of them did not file criminal cases, and the statute of limitations has passed. Is this, just a backhanded way of trying to prove that he is guilty of these, even though it's not criminal penalties involved?
Great point, Patty Ann. Frankly, that is. I mean, what they're trying to do is, we want Bill Cosby to stand against these allegations. We want to compel his testimony, because in the civil proceeding, he will be forced to testify. In a criminal proceeding, he's not. So if this were just a criminal case, he could simply sit there and say the prosecutor hasn't proven their burden of proof, I never have to take the stand. But here in the civil proceeding, he absolutely has to stand. He has to defend himself. He has to have a deposition. There's no conceivable way there's going to be some motion to dismiss before he gets compelled to testify. He is a defendant. So what he did instead is like, well, I'm going to countersue. I'm going to say that these women are liars. The real crux is if Camile can come forward and say, hey, I saw nothing. I was in the room. I saw every single interaction between my husband and these specific accusers. Therefore, these allegations are false. I mean, that's the only way she can help the case. But otherwise, he's going to be compelled to testify and defend himself.
It's going to be very interesting for Bill Cosby this year. All right, David Bruno, Mercedes Colwin, thank you both so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Penny Ann.
Well, it was one